Give it another minute or two. We got some people still straggling in here. All right, 10 a.m. What's the temperature out today? Yesterday was like 40-something degrees. I was going to put my shorts and T-shirt on. It was 30. Woo! Balmy, exactly. Well, look at next week. Next Thursday, it'll be 48 degrees. Wow. Hopefully get rid of some of this snow melting. So welcome. I'm Jeff Pravato. I'm the receiver of taxes. And what we're going to do today, we're going to go over how do you reduce your assessed valuation. So when you reduce the assessed valuation, you're going to reduce your taxes. And people say, well, I reduce that. Sometimes my taxes still go up because the school district raises their taxes every year. So, but it wouldn't go up as much, as I always say. So we have a video we're going to run through. We're going to go through a lot of good stuff. You don't have to write anything down until I tell you. There's one thing you'll write down. Everything that's on the video is in your packets that you have. And then towards the end, we're going to talk about exemptions. There's some towns that do separate exemption workshops. Why make it come out twice? I'm just going to run through some exemptions. So I find it very important, things they do to your deed and all that stuff. But the grievance was extended through the end of March, March 31st. The county executive extended it a couple of days ago, even though it was, say, March 2nd on the video. It's now March 31st. It's been extended by. We're going to go through a lot of good stuff. A lot of people have come up to me and have done this in the last couple of years, and they really like all the facts we give on what to do. And people will say, well, I give it to a Maidenbaum or a PTRC, and they get a reduction all the time. I'm like, well, you have to really put the time into it. If you're just going to sit down at your computer for 5 minutes and, go look up some comps and shoot it in, you might get lucky, you might get a reduction, you might not. You got to put the work into it. And I said, people are like, well, the companies get a reduction. Well, they get paid to do that, right? If they don't get your reduction, they're not getting any money. So, you got to sit down, take a day. Always, we're going to go through this, and what you're going to do is looking at your house like you want to buy it again, and figure out every reason that's wrong with your house and the neighborhood around it, why you're not going to buy your house again. And there's things that the companies don't know. They don't know what some of the inside of your house looks like. They don't know, certain features around the area, what your neighbor's house, what goes on in the street. They don't know if your street floods or you have double yellow lines or the school buses are lined up all in front of your house and the mom's parking your driveway apron every day that they pick up their kids. Or that tractor trailers are rolling down your street, or the Amazon trucks are parked all over the place. So we're going to go through a lot of good stuff, and first we're going to go through the video. I'll stop it a couple of times. Try to save most of the questions to the end, but I'll understand if you have some questions as we move along. So Nick, you want to hit it?
Hi, I'm Town of Oyster Bay Receiver of Taxes Jeff Pravato, and today I'm going to walk you through how to grieve your home assessment online using the Nassau County Review Commission's Arrow application. You will need to access two different web pages. The first website you are going to visit is mynassauproperty.com. Here you can enter your address to access your tentative assessment based on the fair market value of your home, and is used to determine what your taxes are going to be. When entering your address, do not include street, avenue, road, etc. Just your house number, street, town, and zip code. Remember, write down and take note of your section, block, and lot number because you will need it. This page will show you the market value of your home set by Nassau County Department of Assessment. In January, you should have received a notice of tentative assessment in the mail. If you did not receive it, you can see it here. On this page, you will see the tax impact notice. If you believe your home has been overassessed, you should begin the grievance process. To grieve your taxes, you must gather enough evidence to build your case that your home has been overassessed. You can review that by visiting the second webpage, nassaucountyny.gov. Once here, please hover over Departments and click on Assessment Review Commission. Choose the tab on the left, Arrow, which is the Assessment Review Commission's assessment review on the web application. Next, you will need to register with ARC or log in if you already have a registration. Then log in or click to register. Once you have registered or logged into your account, you can begin to gather evidence to build your case. Your assessment is not based on the assessments of your neighbors' homes, but instead based on what the commission believes is the fair market value of your home. Because of this, the evidence you are going to need will be based on the fair market home sales of homes similar to yours in areas similar to yours. Back onto Arrow, please choose the tab on the left, Sales Locator. What you'll be looking for are some home sales of homes that are comparable to yours. This includes square footage, lot size, school district, zip code. Once in the sales locator, please enter your address again. You will then see in the property search box your parcel ID pop up. Click on that. This will take you to a page with your property's information. Double check that everything is correct on this page because this is what they will base your assessment on.
So with school districts, you got to make the zip code not so much now, but it's the school districts. There's some people who can live on the border of like Massapequa, Plain Edge. It has to be, if you're in Massapequa, it's got to be home sales in Massapequa school district. It would have to be in the Plain Edge school district. So it has to be in that same school district just to make sure. And the houses have to be, you know, if you got a 3,000 square foot colonial, you can't use the comp of 1,800 square foot ranch. So, all right. Go ahead, Nick.
On the left, click on the button that says Find Sales. This will find sales of homes that are comparable to yours. You will now see your list of comparable home sales. Look for sales of homes as similar to yours as possible, comparing lot size and square footage, which sold for less than what your home has been assessed at. This is the evidence you will use to provide the commission that your home has been overassessed. Choose whichever home sales you'd like to use as evidence by checking them off in the second column. Once you've chosen all the home sales you would like, click Continue on the bottom. You will then see the sales information of all the comparable homes you checked off and the information about your home listed all together. Continue on to see the averages of your comparable home sales compared to what your home has been assessed at. Based on this information, you can choose to submit an appeal and begin the grievance process. When you choose to submit an appeal, you will be prompted to choose what the property type is. Once you choose the property type, you will then be prompted to fill out the grievance application. Part A will ask for your general information. Part B will ask you what you believe your assessment should have been. Part C will ask representative type. If you are filing for yourself, just put yourself. Part D is the property information. Once you fill out the basic property information, you can scroll down to the box titled Other Facts. Here, you can add any additional reasons as to why you believe your assessment should be reduced. Things like stop signs, speed bumps, new commercial properties nearby, and anything you believe would lower the value of your home can be included here and taken into consideration. If you recently refinanced your house and the appraisal is less than your assessment, you can scan that and include it as well. In part,
So this is the part where we're really gonna start to fight our battle to win. So there's one thing I said you're gonna have to write down, and write down this number. It's a ratio, and I'm gonna tell you what it is. This is what the big companies use, and it's funny. This is found in the frequently asked questions because it's a ratio, because you have your assessed value, and then there's the fair market value. So we think the number is gonna be this year 0.00058. So your assessed valuation, like mine is 676 on my house, and you divide that by that ratio, it'll give you a market value of $1,200,000 something. So now you'll be able to find sales below that number, because we used to do this in the beginning. It was, everybody thought the assessed valuation, that was you had to find sales below that, but it was like impossible because, you know, houses are going for millions of dollars and your house is assessed at, you know, 600,000. I found that out about a year or two ago is what the big companies, it's kind of a ratio that they agree in. And if you do the reverse math, if you multiply it, it'll give you the assessed valuation. So what you want to do is you do that math, and then when you go to the sales locator, you find all the sales below that number. You don't want people getting confused. They're like, sales more than that? I'm like, you know, you don't want more than that. You want less than that. So it makes it a lot easier to find sales. And also, if you know, like, you know, your friend sold their house around the block that's the same house as yours, they closed on it 2 weeks ago, and it's less than yours, and it's less than what your house is assessed at, you know, you can always add it into this other facts area. It's limited on the amount of characters, so you can put a PDF in, what I know a lot of people will do, and then they attach it at the end. So the things you're gonna look for, you're gonna look at your house. Look at my house, why I don't wanna buy it anymore. Do I live by a school? Do the school buses line up by me? Do the parents all wanna pick up their kids? Are they parking in my driveway? Does my street flood during high tide or a storm? Can I see the mall from my house? Do I have high power tension wires running through my yard? Do I have anything, utilities running through my yard? Double yellow lines are always a sign of traffic. Do I have a commercial property near me where tractor trailers are rolling down the block? Take videos of these things, take pictures of this stuff. The railroad, that's a big one. Do I live, like my first house, I lived on East Lake Avenue in Massapequa Park. I was 5 houses up from Front Street, and the railroad was right there. You know, after a week of hearing it, you don't hear it anymore, but you can see it. You know, you're in your backyard. Is that what, you know, that's gonna help hurt the sale of your house. If you live across the street from a park, right? Park's a nice thing until the kids start, until everybody's using it, and they're playing basketball at 8 o'clock in the morning, baseball games are going on all night, they're having a concert. You know, when I was mayor of Massapequa Park, I used to get complaints of people at Brady Park, and they were, you know, they live across the street from it. They're like, oh, they're playing basketball at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, they can. I'm like, you know, this wasn't your own personal backyard. It's a community park that people can use. I'm like, you paid X for your house because you're across the street from a park. I paid double X because I'm 10 blocks away. So that's, you know, people might think that's a good thing. It's a bad thing. The firehouse, you might think it's a good thing. They can respond to you really quick, you know, but trucks are rolling by, you're hearing the fire, they don't even use the fire horns anymore. But those are things, traffic area, but you live by the parkway. You know, some of these communities, they wedged in some developments by the parkways, on-ramps, you can see them from your house. It's all these stuff like that. Those are the things you look at. Then look at your house, is it in disrepair? These companies, the big grievance companies, don't know what the inside of your house looks like. They don't know if you have the olive kitchen still. They don't know if you have a bathroom that has the pink and black tiles still, or the pink bathtubs and stuff. They don't know that. Take pictures of all that stuff. They don't know if your roof's falling apart, your stoop's falling apart, or your neighbor's house is in disrepair. You gotta live next to a hoarder whose backyard is filled up with tires and car parts and anything else they pick out of the garbage on Mondays and Thursday nights. If you live by a sump, live behind a sump, you know, that's not a good thing. Things could come out of them, rats or whatever come out of them. If you know, you have one that doesn't drain well, you get flooding and stuff like that. So those are the things that these big companies don't look at. You know, I talked to a young lady over here. She did it. Not you, but somebody yesterday. They did it by themselves, and they said they put all this stuff in, and they're like, I got a nice reduction because of all these things. I'm like, yeah, you know your house the best. The companies don't know the house the best. And the company, and Nassau County does not know whether Maidenbaum is putting in the grievance or you're putting in the grievance. So the people always say, well, they get the reduction because they do the work. You gotta do the work. Sit down, take a day, look at your house, go over everything. Then sit at the computer, have your booklet with you, have the little video running up there to tell you what things to look at. All right, Nick, keep running the video.
You can add any additional home sales you know of that you think will help your case that were not included in the original comparable list when you search through the sales locator. Part F will ask for you to sign and submit your application, and that's it.
Like I said, it's March 31st now, the deadline.
Do your research and homework and include as much evidence as possible to file a successful appeal. If you have any more questions, call the Nassau County Assessment Review Commission at 516-571-3214. Thank you and have a great day.
So I always say more is better, because what they can just say, you know, that doesn't mean anything. I tell people, put as much information as you can. And so once you submit it within, I think, 6 to 8 months, maybe longer, they'll come back with either they'll say no or they'll give you an offer. If you don't like it, you can go to a SCAR hearing with small claims assessment review commissions, where you go in physically and you sit at a table, and 75% of the time they'll give you a better offer on that. So that's when you go in with everything you have. You're like, here's all my stuff. This is you know, you want to pay me, you want to buy the house for this price, because I don't. So those are the things you got to really do. You got to do your homework, do all the things like I said. Look at the house, really, really look at it. Look at the neighborhood of why you wouldn't want to buy it. You just got to be very, very the devil's advocate. Look at your house and figure out why you don't want to buy it again. So anybody got questions? I know there's always a lot of questions. I'll start over here.
I have a question. So we have files of letters from the companies who, okay, so, you know, everyone received the letters from the companies who makes this tax
Yeah.
reduction for you.
Yeah.
And they tell you, oh, you reduce it only like a couple of thousands by yourself, and we will do it like 5,000 for you. So like,
They
what
can't-
the magic
they can't
can
make you any
tell about your
guarantees.
properties?
They can't
yes,
make any
about-
guarantees. No
Okay.
guarantee they're going to do any better than you. You know your house
Yeah.
better than they do.
Okay, but I mean, just like, would they create the story, like fake story about your house, or what they do?
I don't
So
know.
how
I mean,
can-
the companies do their own thing. They're not coming into your house. They have no idea what the inside of your house looks like.
So they lie?
They're
Just
going
like
about-
they do better than you? Yeah.
They want to, of course they're going to tell you. How do you think they get in business? The way to get business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And plus they charge like half of the
Yeah, some of them,
reduction fee.
some of them are charging a flat fee now.
Yeah.
Not too many charge, 50%. And here's the funny thing, is that they're going to charge you 50% of what they think your actual savings is going to be. And then it still seems to be $500. And then it could be actually, if the taxes go up, and then your assessment goes down a little bit, the taxes go up more, you're going to pay more. Someone was telling me last night, well, I paid $400 because they said I was going to get an $800 reduction, but it only turned out to be $500 at that point. So I only saved myself $100. So that's what I'm saying. You be your own business and save your own money. Save your money. Do it yourself. Give it a shot. If not, go back to letting the companies do it, I said. Always try it. Nothing hurts by you trying yourself. Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure I have this right.
Yep.
The assessed value divided by .00058.
Yes.
Gives you a number, let's say 400,000.
Yep, gives you the,
And then you go to the sales locator
Yep.
and you're looking for stuff below that.
below that. Correct.
And then
Correct.
I do have one other question. 'cause
Of course,
I've tried
yep.
to do this a couple of times. A lot of times in my area, they have like knockdowns.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell there's no picture of a house on the sales locator. Should you still use that?
If it's sold for a lot less, yeah.
I feel like it's like this, the price of the sold property, not the new house. Is that okay?
Yep. Those are the best ones to look for. Like I said, when, the house I sold down the block from me, and then I used it as a comp because it was, half of what my house was worth, really. So,
Maybe they're not looking at you into it, so
yeah, you're putting up a sale. This is a sale. It comes up on the thing. Yes, sir.
You use the sales locator, and you don't find any comps.
Mhm.
You could then go like to Zillow or Realtor.com.
You could. You don't have to find a comp in order to submit. You don't have to put a comp in, but you should, with using the ratio, you should be able to find comps. Yes, sir.
Part B then.
Mhm.
All right, so you're taking your adjusted average prices, right?
Yep.
And then what would you then put the prices?
So you got to put, I forgot to tell you this before when it comes up there, you can't, like, if you're at 675 and now you can't say, well, I think it should be 450. You got to put something, reasonable. If you're at 650, maybe I think it should be 600, your assessed valuation. So you have to put a reasonable, a reasonable number down there. All right.
Guidance of, percentage-wise?
I mean, I would kind of try to look at what comes up in the sales locator, what are the sales that come up, and then you can kind of probably get a better gist from it from that.
Because that's the main number you're actually requesting.
Yeah.
Is right there. So
Yep.
that's,
Yeah, I would look at some of this, what sales comes up, and then you can kind of adjust from there. Yes, sir.
So you said it's number like a full market value.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, you find like five houses
Mm-hmm.
and the sales of it of zero whatever. So you got a fair market value, and so you divide it by five. So this is a number you put down, or you go back to look at the assessment value.
Well, I don't understand what you're saying.
Like this number here,
Yeah.
right? You put the value, like what you think. You think about like
Yeah. Oh, what you think? Yeah.
yeah. So also I don't need to do like a number, like calculate the number.
No, when you see what the average comes out to, you want to be. Listen, if you're below the average, probably not going to work. But if you're above that average, you should say, if you're at 650 and the average is coming down to 625, you should be like, I think it should be around 625.
So I do like math, like a general, for example, like 1 million, and it comes like 0.00053. Come up with a number.
Mhm. That should be your assessed valuation. Yeah, Yeah, they're going to use 5.8. We're not sure if it's 5.3 or 5.8. They haven't come out with the ratio yet. I don't know why, but they should have it soon. Yes, ma'am.
If you grieved last year
Mhm.
and accepted the offer,
Yeah,
and now you're doing it all again.
because it goes back to the old one.
It goes back. Do you reference that last year
Yep.
I accepted this offer? I think
You
it
could,
should be that.
yes, you can put that in the other facts.
Okay.
Put that in the other facts, and that's why I tell everybody, because you got to kind of do it every year. It's the game they play. I have nothing to do with it. And always use the same information. If you get new information, just add it on. Elaine Phillips was here last night. She was talking about it. She goes through a whole presentation. And she was saying, like, this year took her 10 minutes because she had everything from the year before.
Right, that's right.
So, and it got people like, here's my PDF, I got it right here, I just, they come every year because they say, you come up with some new things every year, we figure out new things. And you just resubmit it again. All right? Yes, sir?
Did you look up the past history of previous appeals to see, like,
If it was,
when the assessed was this and the appeal?
you go, I think on your on the sheet they give you, I think it gives you like the last 3 years, what you were at. But, I've been asked before, if you had a company doing it all this time and you want the information, I always say, call the company, like, they won't give it to me. I think when you sign, it's like, it probably says in the really tiny print that everything's proprietary to them and they're not gonna release it to you. The county. Yeah. Yeah, the county will have the information, yeah. I think it's on that sheet that you get. It should show the last 2 or 3 years, but you can always call them. They'll tell you exactly what it is, so. Yes, ma'am? So we always say, this is what happens, this half of the room grieves, this half of the room doesn't grieve. The towns, the counties, the school districts aren't losing any money. So the burden's gonna be put on the people who don't grieve. Elaine Phillips has a whole sheet that you go through. It gives you kind of the average of, like, the people who did grieve save, it depends what school district, $350. The people who didn't grieve had to pay $350 more. So the burden just gets pushed along onto other people. Until they get rid of the county guarantee, the school districts are gonna do what they wanna do, and people are, schools are, 70% of your tax bill. It's a lot of money.
If you grieve your taxes and they decline
Mhm.
it, should you continue grieving anyway?
Yeah, because you can never know what kind of sale you can find the next year, or other kind of stuff. Maybe someone else different looks at it the next year, so, yes, sir.
With respect to putting the information
Mhm.
in, let's consider the people who would do this.
Mhm.
So basically, they say, well, they do independent to do their own review to see, okay, these are 5 that you put in,
Mhm.
but now we found these others.
No, it's the stuff it's only the stuff you've submitted to them. And also, you can never, when you put in something, they can never raise your taxes or anything else, raise your assessment because you've grieved. It's against the law to do that. And technically, the rolls have been frozen for the past 5 years, but they can't raise your assessment more than 6% a year in New York State either. So if they ever become, yes, sir?
I caught that you said that they reset your fair market value. It never changes. You can grieve your taxes, which I did.
Mhm.
I got a settlement.
Yep.
Raised it.
Yep,
But now I have to resubmit my grievance again
because the rolls are frozen.
it just freezes. So if my full market value was 600 and I grieve it and it now should be 550, it doesn't reset to 550.
Pops back to 600.
It pops back to 600.
It's ridiculous, I know, because the rolls are frozen.
Kind of ridiculous.
It is, I know.
Okay, that's number one.
Yep.
There's a level of assessment. I've got my statement. It says .1.
Right, so that's how they, yeah, that's how they,
Okay, but you said .0.
no, that's totally different. That's a different, it's a ratio that you use to find your market value.
So the full market value on this, how do they come up with this number?
That's the assessment commission, when they did the reassessment, when they run around and did everything, they found they used sales,
When did they do that?
2019.
2019.
Yeah,
5 years.
yeah, because remember, you had a phase up and a phase down. People that grieved all the time phased up to pay more, and people that didn't phase down, so they had to get, once they went up and down, then everybody got even.
Grieve every year because your fair market value is not going to be adjusted every year because you grieved and got reduced.
Right, yeah, right, it goes down, then it pops back up again.
That's where I would start.
Yeah.
Because that, I don't think anybody in this room understood that.
Oh, where,
That the fair market value you grieve today,
Mm-hmm.
and so it doesn't reset. It's still at that number.
yeah,
So now I've got now.
you gotta redo it again.
Be 500.
Yep.
But the county says, no, we're gonna reset it back. to
Yeah, because the rolls are frozen, it goes back to the other number, frozen. It goes there. I know, it makes no sense.
0 cents.
It's 0 cents, believe me.
So now I grieved my taxes back, probably about 6, 8 months ago.
Yeah,
I got a settlement back in November.
okay,
And I went online, I said yes, I accepted.
yeah.
And it was a substantial amount, but it only affected the property tax. Because the school taxes are not, they're exempt from all of that.
No, of course it does. It gets your assessed value down, so it is.
So is my assessed value also, so the school tax
Yep,
is adjusted as
yep,
well.
everything, yep,
The whole tax bill gets adjusted by
yep.
whatever that number.
And that's what I was saying. Some people say, well, my assessed value went down, but I paid more taxes, or I'm paying the same. It's because, schools are raising their taxes 2% a year. And I keep telling people, like, go to your school board meetings, make your voice heard, because they'll because they'll threaten to cut the baseball team, the football team, the cheer squad, all this stuff. It's like, well, does the superintendent need to get paid $600,000 a year and all this stuff? On the assessed value, that'll give you a market value of what the house is selling at.
That's what I would use to then go in.
And then do the reverse math, and it'll give you the assessed value. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So it's the county that sets the assessment, not the county.
Nope, it's the county. Yep, exactly.
You grieve and you successfully grieve and get it lowered. Are you saying that the next year, because they have on file what they gave you last year, that they're just gonna jack it right back to that number again?
Yep, because the rolls are frozen, it goes right back to the other number.
5 years?
No, it's been, no. When they did the reassessment, they had a phase-in of 5 years because people had to come, the people who didn't grieve had to come down, the people who did grieve had to come up, and then in the 5 years it would all even out, so everybody's now we're all at full assessment now.
Is there any direct relationship between what the town thinks your house is worth and what people are paying for houses around where you live?
It's the assessed valuation and their market value is when you do the math, like I did the math on mine, it's like 1.1278. I could probably get 1.4, 1.35. It's close when you do the math. That's why they give you that ratio, so you can get those higher sales. That's why when the ratio every year has gone down. So in like 23, 24, it used to be 0082, and then it was 74, 68, 80, 72, 66, 60 last year. Now it's probably going to be 5.8, somewhere between 5.8 and 5.3 this year. So the ratio. So that's why as the prices keep going up, probably some of the prices probably went up, 5, 10%, 5% this year. So.
I've been doing this side house, I've been living in the neighborhood for 35 years.
Yeah.
And I've never seen what's going on now, which is.
It's crazy.
Puts a house up for sale.
Yeah.
And there's 300 cars parked around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And each person goes in and says, what did the last guy offer you? And they just keep jacking it up and jacking it
Yeah.
up.
Because,
House at the end of the block, somebody asked for $700,000 for it.
yeah.
And they got $1.3 million for
Yeah.
it.
I had a house in Mineola I sold. I put up for $899. I got $1.1 million for it. Had 74 people at the open house.
No offense, I'm in the same side.
Now, well, things are frozen. It's frozen. So, but when you, but think about it, right? So, how many people have mortgages here? A lot. Everybody. So, how many people have a mortgage below 4%? A lot of people have mortgages below 4%, right? So, where are you? I have a mortgage below 3%. I'm not selling my house anytime soon because it's like, we're thinking about it. Like, even if I sell my house and I take half the mortgage I'm going to have right now, I'm going to probably pay the same because I'm paying 2 7/8. The mortgages are in the 6s right now. So that's why no one's selling their houses unless it's, mom, grandma passed away or something like that, or you had to move, or people just don't have mortgages on their houses. That's why it's a seller's market. They told me they had an open house the other day. They had 70, well, my broker, he had his house up for $879. They had 82 people at the open house. They got $1 million cash. Crazy. And one of Vicky Walsh, she's a councilwoman. She was looking at this house in Massapequa Park, $830,000. She called up. She goes, "We got an accepted offer. Inspection's coming. I got 16 backups." You can when it's cold or iced tea in the summer. I mean, it's crazy. My wife had buyers for a year. Took them a year getting outbid, or you win the bid on the house and it's you're paying $700-something thousand for something you got to rip apart. And then you do the inspection. You're like, well, this is a lot more work than I thought it was going to be because the heat don't work, the boiler's 1 million years old, everything's falling apart. But people are buying them. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah. So the assessed valuation on that sheet, whatever your assessed valuation is, it's not gonna. The county's they're not raising it. So they can raise it up to 6% a year, but they're not. They're freezing it. It's been the last 5 years they've frozen it. He froze it again this year. Yeah. So long as they don't tell you. Yes. Sure. So you have your assessed valuation on that sheet you got from the county, right? What's your assessed valuation? 492. So you divide that 492 by .00058. We're going to use that math. So that'll give you, so let's see, you said it was 492. So I'm going to do 492 divided by .00058. And that gives you a market value of $848,275. So now you're going to look for sales below $848,000. And that'll bring your assessed valuation down. So if you find sales of 800,000, 820,000, you find a couple of good ones that, maybe in the 700s. Anything below that number, those are the ones you click on. Yep, if the house is similar to yours. Yeah, comparable, exactly. Yes, ma'am. 12 months, a year. But, I had the woman from Assessment Review Commission here last night. She's like, 13 months if you can't find something. They give you a little leeway because, home sales are, there's not a lot for sale. So they could go back a little bit more. You can expand your circumference a little bit more on the sales. It usually goes out about, was it a quarter mile, half mile, something like, whatever the 0.35 miles of the subject property. You might be able to go out a half a mile, a little bit further. So, yes.
I'm actually the first house in Plainview School District. So do I just
Yep.
give one direction?
One direction. That's what I was saying, when you're on the border. That's what sucks. Anybody else? You don't have to, you don't have to put comps in. If you find nothing that's comparable either, you know, try to, like I said, if all these other factors that I had, put those in. And because they might not think you have, they might think your house looks beautiful, and that's why all these other sales in your neighborhood were higher, and that's why your assessed valuation's high. But you put all these other facts in, and you can say, well, you know, you want to come and pay $800,000 for my house, and I got, you know, olive kitchen and pink tiles and all that stuff. Come pay me tomorrow. I'll sell it to you. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that other facts, and the other facts, and then, or you can attach a PDF at the end. There's an area, it'll tell you that you can make an attachment at the end, so. One other thing I wanted to talk about was exemptions. And so, what we see a lot of times is when you touch your deed, and what I mean touch your deed is when you and your spouse are on the deed, and maybe you want to add your children onto it, you need to refile for your exemptions, a star exemption, if there's veteran exemptions, senior exemptions, anything. When the deed changes names, you have to make sure you call the assessment office or the state, wherever the exemption's coming from, and refile for those. I hate it all the time when I see an elderly person come in, the spouse passes away, they changed the deed, they took him or her name off there, they were getting all these different exemptions, veterans discounts and all this stuff, senior exemptions and everything, and then all of a sudden their taxes went from $3,000 to $12,000. Yeah, and it's like, people come in crying, I'm like, I cry with them, I'm like, I can't do anything. And they can't go back either. They can't go back either. So the minute that deed changes, call up, make sure. Back? Oh, yeah.
Spent the whole day with my son taking off from work and still denied. Senior citizens was denied.
That's crazy. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, trust. So I've been told that trust is okay. When did you do it? How long ago? Last year. I tell people, like, well, I've been told if you put it into a trust, it's fine. I'm like, always call. Call the assessment department. That number, the 571 number that was on the end, it's what was it, 57132, what is it? 571-1500. Yeah, and make sure, and ask for, there's the exemption, I think there's an exemption section, and they'll tell you. And they'll give you, I think there's options on there for exemptions when you call and stuff. STAR is through the state, New York State. So just make sure all your stuff is still on there. I'm pretty sure when it's just put into a trust, it's fine. I've been told that, but I always say call anyway.
So what is somebody supposed to do who's gotten denied when the deed has been changed and senior citizen?
A lot of it's done on, it's done on income. It's age and income. And I tell people a lot of times, it's like, you know, you needed to loan your kids some money and you took money out of an IRA or something like that, that's considered income. So, you know, there's that too. You should be getting, see Kathy at the end? See Kathy when you're done. She was helping people last night, just so she can guide you in the right direction. Yes, ma'am? Yeah. Yeah, so what is it now? The senior is 58.7, but the enhanced, was it the enhanced senior is 110,750, it's some weird number. Yeah, through the state. Yeah. 110,750 now. Income. Annual household income. No, the regular one was 58 something. Right, but the enhanced one that's through the state is 110,750. Yeah, I think it went up about $7,000 last year. Yeah, yeah. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's disability exemptions and everything too. Yeah. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Is there any exemption? I keep hearing this and I never understand it. Is there an exemption when you're older and your children have moved away and, from paying school tax?
So Supervisor Saladino, when he was in the assembly, I'm glad you asked that question. He put a bill forward that he wanted what you just said. People who didn't have anybody, seniors above 65 who didn't have anybody in the school district, your school taxes would be frozen at that level. And the other side of the aisle said no, they wouldn't take the bill forward. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. You have to go through New York State. Yes. Linda, see Kathy at the end. She'll yeah. Kathy can see you guys. She can look up your tax bill, tell you what stuff you're getting, what stuff you're not getting. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Yes. So with the prices going higher, the ratio goes lower. It changes every year. So when the frequent, it's going to be in the so right now it's 0.0060. That was from last year. And the frequently asked questions on that thing, it's in there. It's in there. So for some reason they still haven't come up with the number yet. So hopefully they'll come up with it. That's what we think it'll be. So anything else? Yes.
For example, I received the paper and the reduction for the house is $50,000. So how I can translate it into money?
How can you translate it into money?
How it is like what amount of money you reduce from my taxes?
Well, so you reduce your assessed valuation 50,000.
So, yeah, but I mean.
When you do, yeah, when you look at your tax bill, it'll tell you, whatever math they use to figure everything out, and then it lowers your taxes. But if the school district is raising by 2%,
Yeah, exactly, so it's like equal.
that's what people, I'm like, well, at least you're not paying more. And that's why I tell it, go to your school board meetings, complain. Yes, sir.
I agreed the taxes last year.
Yep,
Got the, signed off on it in November,
this past November.
so that would be applied to 26.
So last year, that was for 26, 27. Now we're grieving 27, 28.
So now you got to re-agree for the next
27, 28, yeah.
31st of March.
Correct. Correct. So like I said, you can go back, you can keep going back, making any changes. Say you did it for yourself last week and you came here and it's like, oh man, I just found out some new facts. You can keep going back into it. But after the cutoff, that's it. You can't go back into it anymore. All right? If you have any other questions, just come up after. You can talk to me in person, talk to Kathy over here. We can look up your tax bills and stuff, all right? Thank you for coming.